Okay, so we've got the basic shell of this office space set up, but now I want to put in the detail that we have on these exterior walls, which I'll just show you, would be probably a little bit more than a standard curtain wall, but I'm going to use the curtain wall tool for the windows at least. And then to get these solid panels, rather than trying to do it all with curtain wall, I'm going to make a stacked wall. So I'm going to show you how to do both of those things. Okay, so I'm going to start with one of those walls selected, and then from the properties panel there, I begin by changing it to the simplest curtain wall. You have curtain wall 6mm thick glazing, and then I'm going to go to edit type. So just like many of your other wall changes, you can duplicate here. So I'm going to go to duplicate and call this window wall. And actually I haven't even looked to see how many panels there would be. It's a bit hard to tell in these photos, but I'm assuming that there are 4. We can easily change this, but let's say 4 for now. So window wall 4 panel. Alright, so then I've got here the vertical grid. So I'm going to change that to fixed number, and notice there that the option for the spacing is greyed out. That's absolutely fine. And then the horizontal grid I'll leave on none. Now I'm going to set the vertical mullions to just the standard 150 by 150. We might make that a bit smaller later on, but for now we'll just leave that at those ones that are fairly thick. And then for the borders, I'm going to put in the same mullion, so 50 by 150, 50 by 150 for border type 1 and 2. And then for the horizontal mullions, I'm also going to put in the same for the interior type. We actually don't need an option there, but I'm just going to choose it anyway. And then again 50 by 150 for border type 1 and 2 for horizontal. So we're going to click OK, and you can see then that it's put in the curtain wall with these divisions, but notice that the number is in the properties section. So it's not in the type properties. You need to go to just the properties panel there, and notice we've got 5 panels there because it counts the number of mullions, not the number of panels. So we're going to change that to 3, and notice now that we've got 4 panels because again we've got 3 mullions. Right, so just in properties over here you set the number of panels, or you set the number of grid lines essentially. Yeah, we just need to understand when it's an instance. In this case, these are type properties, but these are instance properties. So these are properties for each element, whereas when you go to edit type, you're changing properties for the type. So that's all of the objects of that type. Okay, so now I could select another wall, and from the list there, choose window wall 4 panel. But notice it keeps defaulting to 3. So you have to just keep changing that number there to, so it defaults to 4, you have to keep changing that to 3. Right, so now I'm going to make that into a stacked wall. So going to, again, edit type, and at the top I can change the system family to stacked wall, and then edit structure. So I'll just show you that again. So in case you missed that, so edit type, the family is at the top. So you've got types below and then families in the drop down above that. So we're going to go to stacked wall, edit the structure there, and so we've got a so who's on 17? I might say yes. Okay, so we've got a base there. I'm going to click on the preview button to show you how that is. So here you can see we've got the base at the bottom, you can see labelled, and then the top is the top. So brick veneer over here is the base. I'm going to change that to let's see. Sorry, I thought we had one. Oh yeah, sorry, here we are. Just generic 200 for now. And then the top, actually, sorry, this isn't going to work. So we'll need to do, so I'm thinking of assemblies. That's right, they don't let you put curtain walls into stacked walls anymore. So we just need to do the method I meant to, okay. That's annoying. Okay, so I'm going to leave that wall, and we'll have to do an assembly if you want to use a stacked wall for that, so we'll do it a bit differently. And I'm going to just leave that wall with the base offset, put in properties to the sill height, so that's going to be 1000. And then I'll just use a simpler method actually. I'm just going to use copy to clipboard and then paste a line to same place. So I put a copy of the wall on top of itself, and now in properties I'll just set the base offset to 0, and then the top offset to so I will change the height there to unconnected, and then just put an unconnected height of 1000. So I've got a new wall underneath, and I can change that back to generic 200mm. I think that's going to be the simplest way of getting that without doing a more complicated setup than I want to show you right now. So the only issue now is that I've got the curtain wall centered on the edge of that lower wall. So I'm going to go into one of the plan views, and show you actually something else that's interesting. If we use the move tool here, what you'll find is that it may take the other wall with it. Actually it's not, so that's okay. Okay, so sometimes you'll see that it'll join to the lower wall, and that lower wall will move with it. In this case it's not doing that, but if it happens, all you need to do is drag the end of the wall away before you move it. But I'm not going to do that because it's moving again without the other wall. So I can just use the move tool and then click a base point, bring it up and type in what's going to be 100mm. We'll just keep it centered for now. Or in fact, no, we'll make it 75mm, so it's flush with the outside edge. Okay, so then, so that seems like a bit of a fiddly process, but what you'll then have to do is, if you want to put all of that in one go to replace these existing walls, you need to select them all with control, and then change the wall type to your curtain wall. Again, set the base offset to 1000. Thinking if this is the quickest way. Yeah, I think it is going to be the quickest way. And then, again, copy to clipboard. And then go to, again, on the paste sub-option menu, align to same place. And then, yeah, so basically copying the wall on top of itself, so you don't have to go and replace them all. And so then you should be able to set the base offset back to 0, the top constraint to unconnected, the unconnected height to 1000, and then the wall type just to one of the standard ones like generic 200mm. So that should save you a bit of time, but then unfortunately you're going to have to go and move each of those upper walls, the curtain walls, inwards, and you'll also have to check the panels, but we'll come back to that in a second. So you can see there that these are all centred on the edge of the wall. No, they should be they should be like this one, not like this one. So I'm going to show you a slightly quicker way of moving them inwards. Instead of using the move tool, you can go to the modify panel and use offset and turn the copy option off. So unlike AutoCAD, where you tend to copy things when you offset, in Revit you've got that option there to turn copy off, and then we'll set the offset there to 75. And now notice I can pick these walls, and well, that one's gone the wrong way, so you've got to make sure it goes the right way. So by moving the cursor there, you can see it's giving me that dashed line to show me which way it goes. It's a bit hard to see because it's right on the edge, but there, hopefully you can see that the dashed line is above. So I can go around just picking each wall. That's right, exactly, yeah. Okay, so it shouldn't take too long to get all of that done, and it's probably still a lot quicker than putting in all of these using the window tool, which will be another way to do it. Oh yeah, we'll put the... Well, we can change that, so we don't need to use a new type because it's in properties. So, and that hopefully will make it a bit clearer why you do some things in properties. So, okay, so here we've got one that probably only needs 2 panels. And so because it's not in edit type, because it's in properties, if I change this setting, this value, to, well, I'm going to make it 1, that's right, it just changes that one. That's it. So that's why some things are in properties and other things are in type. If it's in type, it'll change all of them.
Is there a way to just set it so each of the panels are even?
You could, yeah, you can actually, yep. So you could try and guess the size they should be here. So another option, instead of using fixed number, you could say, for example, maximum spacing. So let's look at these. I don't know what the spacing is, but now that we've put in a few, we can measure it. So yeah, that's a good point actually. So if I go back to the plan view, now let's find one that should be pretty typical, like maybe this one here. So if I measure that size, it's around 1500. So let's say 1550 should be the maximum size or the maximum spacing these can have. So I'm going to select it, edit type, and change fixed number to maximum spacing and make that value 1550. And yeah, with any luck, it will now go through and do it automatically. The problem is that it's probably going to put maybe too many in. So we could try instead minimum spacing. So if I go here, edit type, and we'll try minimum spacing, and say maybe 1400. And that's turned out pretty well actually. Yeah, so lots of different ways you can use those settings. And so just see if we get a quick perspective of that interior. Okay, so we're starting to get an idea of that space. And then maybe just to finish up, show you how you can get then the next set of walls. So we've got the solid wall above the column. So looking at your section, you can see that the windows there only go up to the should probably only go up to the ceiling level. So an easy way to select them all is just to select one, right click, and then select all instances in the entire project. And that will select every one of them. Because the levels have been set up already, now I can just change top constraint to that ceiling level. I don't need to manually go and choose the height for each window. So now then, these walls at the bottom, it's probably a good time to start managing them a bit more. I've just been lazy and set generic 200mm wall, but if I now go and use the same method, select all instances in entire project, I think I've only used that wall type for these lower walls. Now I can go edit type, duplicate, and we'll give it a proper name, say exterior wall. Maybe it would be 200mm, so I'll just leave that as the size. Later I can go and set a different material to it, but it's okay just to leave it as it is for now. So I haven't really set any new properties to it. I've just given it a new name so that later on, if I need to change it, it's going to be easier. And then to finish off, I can then go again and use the same method I used before. So we'd like to make a stacked wall, but it's a manual stacked wall. I'm going to use copy to clipboard, and then paste, align to same place, and then being very careful here not to deselect anything. So I'm not going to click anywhere, because here I can see 11 walls are still selected, so my new copies are still selected. I can simply change the base constraint to that ceiling level, and then the top constraint to the floor level above. And how easy was that? So that hopefully will be a good setup for your exterior shell, which may not change very much. And so hopefully you can probably all do that the same, at least initially, and then if you want to get the other thing you can see there, the ducting, there you can see you've got this skirting, which probably is also acting as an electrical duct. I can put that in afterwards, and look at doing the ceiling as well before too long, but I'll do that in the next video maybe.